Of course, we know the coronavirus pandemic is bringing huge changes to our lives from coast to coast all across the country. So today we're talking with our expert in estate planning, David Carrier. David has actually invited two other estate law attorneys to join in our conversation. Tim Seckler joins us from his firm near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Chris Carroll is joining us from California. Good morning and welcome to 8West. And I'll say thanks so much for getting up super early. We know in California you're not in the same time zone as we are.
It was a bit of an early morning, especially for getting up in quarantine, but
yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you so much. So, David, let's talk about this. Why did you think it was so important for us to get the perspective from other parts of the country?
Well, you know, on my Sunday radio show, I've been having my sister, Mary Beth Goldman, who's a registered nurse, and I've been getting input from Mary Beth, who's in the Boston area, as well as my daughter, Elizabeth, who's an RN in the Portland area, Portland, Oregon. You know, just to get a sense, we know what it's like here, but just to get a sense of what is it like in other parts of the country. And so, you know, we know what it's like here and what are people doing. Like we had in Boston, the PPE is a really big deal, you know, lack of it. We actually had one of our listeners delivered 1,000 of those N95 masks to my sister Mary Beth's hospital on Monday. They got the masks on Monday, and it just over the moon generosity from people here in West Michigan. I thought it would be a good idea if we could also get perspective from other parts of the country, kind of what they're going through. And so I've known Tim and Chris for many years. I respect them highly, and they're doing the same sorts of things we're doing, rescuing families financially whose loved ones are in long-term care. That's not all there is to it.
Right. So, Tim, let's talk about that. You're in Pennsylvania, different state. Let's talk about exactly what you're hearing from people that you're trying to help through all of this.
Yeah, so I don't know that Pennsylvania is all that different from what's going on in Michigan. We are slowly coming out of the lockdown, but you know what I'm seeing is okay, some retail spaces are allowed to be open, but there's not a lot of people going in, right? And so like with the nursing home issues, we've had a couple of really bad nursing home situations in Pennsylvania where they've lost a lot of people, and so you know I'm sure they are elsewhere, but the nursing homes are very careful with what they're doing right now. You know, incoming procedures. You know, I have had to go see clients, and it's hard to get in the door, and so you know. We're having to coordinate, but you have to understand, like from my standpoint, there's still humans in there working that want to help the people there, right? So we're advising our families, work with the social workers in the nursing home. We've had them get our clients on FaceTime so they can visit with their kids, you know, remotely and when necessary. We've even had clients come out to like sign documents on the sidewalk since we can't come in, right? Yeah. So, you know, it's tough, but they have an important job to do. They're still doing it. And I think we're seeing a lot of people come together to make important things happen.
Right. And I know, Chris, from your perspective in California, you're with a law firm. You have multiple agencies, multiple locations in multiple communities. As you're helping these families navigate through this difficult time, it must be even more challenging just because of the barrier that's there. These family members are not able to even visit their loved ones who may be in nursing care.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and it's a very emotional and stressful time in that sense. Families want to be there for one another, and in this environment, it's very difficult to be, at least physically, and because of the technology barrier between seniors that sometimes exists, it makes it even more difficult. And so what we've done is try to eliminate that barrier, try to make things as easy as possible to meet with clients and their families and try and be there for them in any sense that we can, while navigating all the different logistical issues that we have in the different rules in all the different counties across California.
Yeah, and how do you help people if they need to maybe change that documentation? Maybe they had already prepared their directives and now they're making some modifications because just of the extent and the impact of this pandemic.
Great question. As Tim was saying earlier, you know, we've really had to leverage technology on our side, and even though law firms aren't typically known for being ahead of the curve on the technology aspect, our firms have worked together to try and make things as easy as possible and sharing the different things that we need to do, whether it's FaceTime or Skype or Zoom or whatever company we use, sending iPads into the facilities where FaceTime's already preloaded, the number's already preloaded, so that way, you know, we can make those connections in a much easier way and still have some face-to-face exposure with the clients to help them make those changes.
Yeah, and Tim, when you look at what's going on in and around, especially Western Pennsylvania, are you noticing that people are doing a better job maybe in making those plans ahead of time, just because now they realize that, you know, these are really uncertain times that we're living in?
What's been really interesting is it's been a completely different clientele in some respects. You know, we typically, it's an elder law practice. We typically work with retirees and seniors, but I've been surprised, I guess not surprised, but we've gotten a lot of calls from younger families saying, oh, I'm not invincible. I see that bad things can happen. I've got these little kids and I haven't done any planning, right? And so where typically I think estate planning is something that people start to think about maybe around the retirement years and their senior years, we're getting phone calls from a lot younger families saying, we recognize now that this has been on the back burner and it can't live there anymore. We need to do some different planning.
Right, and I know, David, you and your team are on the forefront here in West Michigan, educating people. Is that what you're seeing as well, that you're getting calls and really requests for help in preparing these papers and the documentation from younger families as well?
Yeah, it really has changed the mix. You know, people tend to wait for a wake-up call. Maybe someone in the family, family friend, neighbor, before they get planning done. People do need that nudge. And, you know, as I've been saying right from the get-go, if this pandemic is not the nudge, what are you waiting for? I mean, and for a lot of people, it has been. It's been a real wake-up call. You know, there's all the politics of, you know, should you do a lockdown or shouldn't you? Yeah, you know, okay, fine. But this virus is serious. It's having real impacts on a lot of folks. In Tim's area, 50 people died in one nursing home. You know, it's real, and people are actually responding very well to it. People are understanding that, yeah, we got to get the thing going again. Absolutely, and we will beat it. But people are taking more initiative, more responsibility for themselves and for their families. It's very gratifying to see just how people are stepping up, really.
Well, yeah, well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Tim, thank you for joining us from Pennsylvania. Chris, thanks for getting that early morning wake-up call in California. And David, of course, we'll get all of your information online, davidcarrierlaw.com. Have a great day, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.